Hey, what's up, guys? Tone Setter here. We live, baby. We are live, and it's been a while since I went live. And we're here to talk about NFL 2025 draft and how I think this team should be built and is going to be built. And now I'm not here to talk about the players to help build it because I don't know. I don't know which way they're going to go with the 12th pick to set things off, to set the tone, no pun intended. But anyway, uh, they are going to have to build this team defensively. And that's why I've been a fan of the trade down is to acquire more draft picks, but also keep in mind that some of these guys will make it, some of them won't. Whether if we trade down for more picks or we just stay the course at 12 and pick from there. Okay? Why? Because I've said this in my earlier videos. This is going to be a 2 year project, a 2 year rebuild. But with this being having this amount of talent, undiscovered talent, um, some of these guys are seasoned because they've been in college longer, and and trying to find some of these ready to play guys or guys that can quickly develop. It will be the best time to build our defense and making our defense dominant, having depth, because that killed us last season when it came to the cornerbacks. We ran short, and we ended up finding a diamond in Josh Butler, but he ended up getting hurt. We ended up uh, short because of the D Law got hurt, you know. But that defense, they tried to hold it up. Michael tried to rally, the defense and keep these guys up. But the season ended the way it's supposed to end because this was all this was just bound to happen, of not capitalizing and not growing from where y'all stopped the season prior to, talking about the 12-5 and the Green Bays, saying, and not learning from that. And y'all did it 3 years in a row, and it all ended up the same. So this is why I've always had an issue with personnel. It was never I mean, it's all of it could always go back to the coach, head coach, and its coaches. You know, at the same time, what does it take for these players to say enough is enough, and we're going to take it upon ourselves because they are the culture setters, and that's what this whole thing is going to be about. If you kind of hear it through Schottenheimer or whatnot, it's about building the culture along with BPA, along with developing players by getting the proper players through the draft, through free agency. And we saw this already when a team has a dominant defense, because we just saw how the Eagles dismantled the Kansas City Chiefs because the Kansas City Chiefs had a good defense, but not a good offensive line. And so, in order for us to compete with the Philadelphia Eagles, the new champions of the NFL going into next season or this season, then we need to have a defense that is formidable, that is highly formidable, not with just Philly, but with any and everybody else. Because one thing I say about us, I can say this about us because I'm with the Cowboys, and what's one of the big stigmas that's been put on us, that we're soft, and we're not playing up to our potential because attention to lack of detail. We saw the hero ball. We saw how that spilled out on TV last season, and the frustration finally crescendoed of what's been going on behind the scenes. And I'm not even going to stay long talking about that because I've talked about this before. So soft. We need to get mentally tough. We need to be attention to detail. We need guys to to have some type of cohesion, particularly on defense, because that's what it takes: communication, chemistry, synergy, however you want to put it, and effort. We need effort, guys. We need to build a dominant defense comparable to what Philly has, in my mind. What players? I don't know. I have a few as far as one technique, linebackers like Demetrius Knight, uh, uh, Campbell. I think his name is Watson. That's the one tech I'm talking about. The three tech Norman Knotts. I mean, if because these are gonna be later round guys, that's why I'm talking about them. Maybe not Campbell, but definitely Knight and the rest of the guys I just mentioned. Jacob Parrish, um, Harrison. Um, if we get Will Johnson, cool. Um, but I just think that we need to acquire. As a matter of fact, I think they are going to. And if they don't acquire or trade down to get more draft picks, then we're going defense. We're going defense first. I know everybody's been champion. We need a wide receiver. That we need a wide receiver. But in my opinion, I think that we're going to go defense first, and I think they would prefer to trade down if there are any participants that is willing to trade up to get that 12th pick, or some scenarios. Well, say if Teteroa does land to us, what if he's used as a bargaining chip? What if Shador lands to us and we draft him and he's used as a bargaining chip? Those are the only two that I can see that maybe falling to us, um, or maybe even Genty. But I don't see why we even do that. Why? Because we do need a running back. And to me, I'm not all googly eyed about Genty. A talent, yes, he is. But we have seen a similar body type in Maurice Jones Drew, MJD, the pocket hamster. So that is nothing. That he is nothing new. He's not an Adrian Peterson. So to say. Well, enough of that. So I'm about to transition over to the offense since we are headed that way. But one thing I just want to keep in mind is that we are going to stockpile on defensive ends. If we trade down, acquire more picks, defensive ends, cornerbacks, and shore up out the middle of our defensive line with more three tech and getting a one tech so that we can have rotation and our starters can be fresh to build depth, particularly on our defense. Because I have said this over 2 to 3 years ago, when Dak signed that first big contract, and I said this. You can go back and check. It's going to be high turnover on defense, and look at what happened this season. Look at what happened. I mean, this past season. Look at what happened when we lost a lot of guys from our defense. It was going to be high turnover, and we got to stop holding on to guys. That's what Philly does when these guys contracts are up. You got to let them go, and you just have to rebuild. And that's what Philly is going to do right now, since this is a rebuild type of draft in 2025. It's a good time for most teams to rebuild. So that's why you hear the talks of everybody, a lot of teams wanting to trade down because of the fact that it's not as top heavy. It's all in the middle. It's all into mid to early fifth round, and then even after that, you're still gonna find some diamonds. Maybe need to shore up some of their skills, and but traits, all of that is there, measurables. Everything is going to be there for these guys. That's even in the later rounds, going into unrestricted. I mean, not say unrestricted, undrafted rookie free agents. But to me, that's the way to go first. Now, let's transition over into the efficient offense. And so let's talk about that in the 12th pick because everybody's everybody's talking about, Tedero. We need the wide receiver. No, we don't. I don't. Do I think we need to get? We always need to get wide receivers in every draft. We always need to get cornerbacks in every draft. We always need to get edge rushers in every draft, and we always need to get offensive linemen in every draft. So when it comes to skill positions and core positions, we always need to like stockpile that. And that's what I have liked about the Cowboys is that we are a middle tier team. We are good. When we are good, we have 9 Pro Bowlers. But when we bad, we are bad. But when the team gets dismantled, it gets dismantled. But still, we have enough talent to compete at the very least in some games because we see that even at 9-7, you know, is that we don't fall completely off. And so it's all about the draft. And I don't mind the strategy that Jerry Jones and all these guys, I mean, and what they do in the organization, as believe in draft and developing, and then just acquiring middle tier guys through free agency to give their young pups a chance to grow, and then we cut from there. It's just that when it gets top heavy, like we are now or about to be with Michael Parsons, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, uh, Trayvon, um, Bland is going to be up next. When it becomes top heavy, we're going to have to shed some weight, and sometimes a high end player just going to have to be a cap casualty. Simple as that. So when it comes to offense, I don't have nothing against Tetaroa at all. I just don't think uh, he's a good scheme fit when it comes to route running. And my thing about this, because all you hear is that he's a big body, can't teach. Does he has decent speed? Because I first heard that he ran like a 4.6 or something like that, or maybe it was a projection, and I ran with it. It runs a 4.53, which is not bad. Nice 10-yard split. But the main thing you hear is that he's a 50-50 ball catch ball guy. Body catches. That's batted balls, contested balls all the time. That's my thing, and what that leads to interceptions. I mean, because you don't hear separation about this guy. Is he a talent? Yes. And I think he's probably going to go to New Orleans more than anything. He's just going to be a Michael Thomas 2.0, just faster. That's it. Just a little faster. Can't stretch the field uh, depending on the call and coverage. So that's my thing about it when it comes to offense, because the offense just needs to be efficient. Because you got to look at the past 3 seasons we went 12-5 because y'all calling for a wide receiver to make uh, this team more explosive and put up more points. All right, my man, you have a good one. All right, to put up more points, and we've done that. We've been down that road before, and during those 3 12-5 seasons, we put up points, but we weren't efficient in some areas. Third down, we weren't efficient in red zone. That's where need to be more efficient. So that comes with execution. That's what's wrong with these guys. knowing how to feature your players. CD Lamb can't. He's the main attraction, but he don't have to be the feature in all situations. Sometimes he just have to be a decoy. Now, offensive line, definitely we need to get that right with the players we have or whether we draft. Running back, with the running backs we have, if the offensive line is straight, those running backs can be productive. But if we decide to get uh, Hampton, Henderson, Juggins, Genty, uh, Tootin, uh, Neal, Gibbons, I mean, we could just Scatterboo. If we get any of these guys. These if we get an offensive line that can bully some people, they're going to be productive one way or the other. Because we need not only a solid running game, because again, we saw what Saquon did with Philly, but we need to be efficient and know how to get into the red zone. Because you call it what you want about a number two wide receiver, and I have said this in Jalen Tolbert's defense. Um, does he still need to grow and be groomed and develop more on his own, along with the coaches? But last season he was the 18th. He was ranked 18th when it came to touchdowns, and that didn't come from him, uh, from long bombs and him getting yacked. That came from us being in the green to red zone area, and Dak finding Tolbert or Cooper Rush finding Tolbert. 7 touchdowns. So y'all need to give me a break with that. Y'all need to give Tolbert a break with that. And always seem to go with more points. You know what more points does? You know what always putting up more points does? It wears down the offense. I mean, it wears down the defense when we can put up points fast. We've seen that with the greatest show on turf. We've seen that with Randy Moss and Tom Brady, although they made it to the Super Bowl. But we saw what happened when they ran up against a dominant defense and an efficient offense. That's the only thing that's going to happen to us time and time again is not knowing how to control tempo. That's become from a lack of a running game and lack of a offensive line that's getting the push, because we are predominantly a pass first team. So if we're going to be a predominant pass first team still, then we need to know how to be efficient along with good execution, and that's everybody being on the same team from the wide receivers to the quarterback. That's why I like Restrepo, because he's smart. He know how to read coverages, and we need a quarterback out there that know how to read the defense. Quarterback meaning quarterback wide receiver that knows exactly what the quarterback is seeing. I like Restrepo when it comes to that. So more than anything, yes, offensive line, running back, but we're secure at cornerback. If we're gonna, we like I said, stockpile wide receivers. We get Tetero, I'm fine with it. If we don't, I like others more. I like the Royals, and I like the Jalen Royals, Jaden Higgins, the Jalen Knowles, Dante Thornton is another one, and he had the best split time out of all wide receivers, standing at 6'4", running a 4.3. Just that he need to be a little bit more polished with his route running. You know what I'm saying? That's it. That's it. I like to say the Savion Williams. He's another one that just needs to be polished. That's it. I mean, but everybody talking about the Beshes and the Nash, and so look at where we can go with all of this. All I'm saying, with Tetaroa, Besh, Nash, any of these big body, even Higgins just fast. Thornton's just fast, but with like guys that's in the 4 5 big body receivers, like damn, we could have just got just paid what's the guy, San Diego guy went to Chicago. Um and I was just thinking about him yesterday, talking about this, thinking to myself to put this in the video. I can't think of his name right now, but he's in that same mode, like the Galata days or whatever. Those type guys, um, Keyshawn Johnsons and so on and so on. We could have just got him, but it would have been a bigger contract. But at least he's a proven player, you know. And somebody write in the comments about that guy's name because his last name is slipping my mind. But anyway, that's the thing for me and the Cowboys going into this year about offense. Because even without a solid number two wide receiver, it was still an explosive offense, regardless. Because we had a nice running, a average to decent running game to go along with it. So, what are your thoughts? And I will hear about it amongst all the other content creators and flagship stations that deal with the Cowboys. But that's just what I have to say, and that's just my thoughts on what I think about it, on how this team should be built going forward. As we have stability at the helm of the quarterback, was just the offensive line. Yes, we can get a running back, but it just needs to be efficient and knowing how to execute. And a dominant defense is where we need to build the most, with talent and depth, and just always stockpiling at skill positions, the most necessary positions. So this is Tone Setter, guys. I appreciate your time. Take time to listen. Hope you can fill me out. Like, share, subscribe. Peace.